I've got this recess light here that's kind of gone rogue. You know, all the others are poked up in the ceiling. This one has fallen down. And I can see when I pull it down, it has two clips like this. I think maybe these just bend down like this, and when you push up, they just have a friction hole against the side. Why don't we try that first? Make sure that they're bent down, and then just push it all the way up. Well, that was easy. So I don't know if you saw it, but the clips kind of were sticking up this way, but they're kind of cupped over like that. When you push them up in the hole, they go like that. And you push them up, and the friction from the pointy clips holds them up in there against the side. So that was pretty simple, and it's in there pretty good, like if I just knock it around. So that was an easy one. Let's see what else we can find. Here's a quick one. The light is burned out in the ice maker water dispenser part of the refrigerator. So I have bought another bulb. It's a candelabra base. I already took out the burned out one, and it went right here. So I have this new bulb that I got. I hope it works in there. It's a 15 watt. Hopefully that's enough to help you see how to get ice and water. So here's the little bulb, and it just goes up in there. The important thing about this bulb was to get one that's short enough to fit in there. Okay, and that looks like about the same wattage as what was in there before. It was left on all the time and it burned out, so I'm thinking maybe it'd be best to leave it off. So that was a quick one. That was easy. What else can we find? You're looking at the air conditioner intake for the apartment, and you just flip these two clips back if you want to look at the filter, and oh my. So a couple of things catch your attention right off. The fact that it's just caked over with dust. It may have never been changed, I don't know, in the life of the apartment, I'm not sure. But another thing you might notice is that the filter has caved in. See how it's misshapen here. It should be like a box, but it's just gotten sucked in. This should be on the outside edge. So that is fascinatingly filthy. So I got a new one from Ace Hardware. And one nice thing they do with filters is they put a little spot on it where you can put the date that you installed it. I would love to know when that one was installed that we just took out. And so I'd probably love to know when we put this one in. Today is, I think, the 15th of March, so I'll write that on there. Let's see. They actually have two places to write it. 3/15/23. It says the recommended change it every 90 days. I got a feeling this was not changed every 90 days. Okay, on the side of the filter, it has an airflow direction. So the air is being sucked into there, so I'm just going to put it in this way. And actually, before I close it up, there's all kinds of schmutz around the edge here too, so I'm going to get that off. Why start off with the dirty slate? See there how much nicer that looks? Just get that all off of there. Out of there. Actually, it was all around the edge of where the filter went too. Let's just clean this all out. Look at that. That is disgusting. I don't know if I should have put a warning for disturbing content or not. Got that cleaned out. Put the filter back in. Get it all the way back in. Close the clip. And there we go. That was easy. If you have one of those air conditioner grate brushes, might be nice, because I mean, you can see I'm getting dust off of here. I have a special brush that goes into air conditioners that'll brush that, and I think I'll come back with that sometime. All right, another easy task done. When we moved this toilet paper holder over, of course, we left all these holes, 8 large holes there. So I've got some spackle to put on there, and first thing I have to do is take the toilet paper holder off and out of the way, and I'll put some spackling in there, let it dry, sand it, paint it. You won't ever know it was there. So I got to take these off. Again, I'm using a jeweler's driver because these have a very small set screw. I'll just rough this up a little bit. I've got this 80 grit sandpaper, and I just want to kind of make sure that none of this drywall fur is sticking up above the surface, because I'm going to smooth that off with the spatula. That's pretty good. And do the other side here. I'll blow all the dust out so that the spackling will stick well. I've got the joint compound, this spackling I guess. Got it stirred up. I didn't think you wanted to watch that part, it took a while. And just get a little bit on my blade here and press it into the holes. I mean, the idea is not to get it all over the place, but I already have. Just continue pressing that in so that you have a good deep penetration of the joint compound. And there's kind of a technique where you press the blade down flat and then just roll over it. I don't know if that's the right technique, but that's what I do. Okay, and I've got it kind of a little bit bowed up there. That'll require some sanding to get rid of, but I would rather have a little bit too much than not enough, because I want this to be invisible after I paint it. So I don't want any little circle marks where the holes were or anything. A lot like making your peanut butter sandwich. So I think that's enough. I mean, we'll see when I sand it. If I sand it off and I still see pits, of course I can come back and add more spackling. It's just a lesson in patience, really. And I'll do this other side. Alright, we'll let that dry. After it dries, we'll come back and sand it and then paint it. It looks like there was a repair here. I don't know if you see that, but there's like a whole bunch of little tiny bubbles in the wall. So while I'm here, I'm just going to fill that. I mean, it's not super noticeable, but if I noticed it, then probably anybody can. And now that I've filled it, you can see all the little bubbles that I'm filling. So I don't know what they filled this with the first time, but obviously had some bubbles in it. If it's a really shallow divot and you wipe across, you just wipe this stuff right back out of it. So I'm just going to like paste it on there and press it in and just leave it. Alright, I'll let that dry. I gave this spackling about an hour to dry, and it's mostly dry. I'll start sanding, and if it gums up, then I'll just stop and let it dry again. So I'll sand off this thinnest stuff first. You can actually knock the big spots off with your hand. See, there's some right there. So knock the ridges off, and then get your rough sandpaper and get in there and sand it. You don't have to press very hard at all. It's just going to come right off. It's just very easy to sand. And you want to sand it until you see the paint coming back through. And you have to clean off your sandpaper a lot because you just don't do it up. I don't want to sand it much more, because if you get the defined circles, then when you paint it, you'll see those circles through the paint. So I just want to kind of leave it as a smooth dome over that. So let's do this down here. Yeah, I think I'll let that dry a little bit more, just to make sure. I can see it's a little moist here at where I forced it in there. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit more before I paint it, and then I'll come back and just hit it with some touch-up paint, and it should look good as new. And the last and least favorite step is to paint. As long as it's wet, it's going to be hard to tell. And I don't want brush marks, so I'm just going to kind of pat it, get that orange peel kind of texture a little bit. I can't pat it right there because it just pulled the backling right out of the wall. So we'll let that dry, and I'll show you what it looks like dry. Hopefully when it dries it'll match. It's not matching too well right this minute. The paint's not completely dry. You can kind of see it still in the different spots, but the color is definitely starting to match. So this wall was painted only a couple of weeks ago with the same paint, so it should match pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the toilet paper holders. See what I did there? I touched it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to paint that again. You can see how much the paint changes color as it dries. I mean, it's very light there, and it'll get pretty dark. And again, I'm trying to give it a little texture so that it doesn't, it's not quite so obvious that I painted it with a brush. We'll let that completely dry, and tomorrow I'll have a look at it. Here we are after a couple of days of allowing the paint to dry. If you look really close, you can see where the repairs were made. You can see these 3 holes here. You see a little bit of color difference in the paint. That may settle out some more over time, we'll see. But I'm going to call this job finished. And we actually have some paper to go in there. And there we go. Job well done. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more like it, please subscribe. And thanks for watching.